Welcome back to the Jay Craig podcast. I'm Jay, and now that we're into the new year, let's take a look back and see what happened in 2018. So this is the good, the bad, and the ugly of 2018. I saw 37 to 40 movies this year. That's got to be a record, and that's because Allied Marketing allowed me to get a lot of early screenings in so I could get these movie reviews out before the movie comes out. So thanks to that, I got to see a lot of movies, and a lot of movies that I probably wouldn't have selected to see if I was, choosing the movie. But I got to see a lot of movies, and so there's a lot of bad in this mix, and there's a lot of good. But I want to talk about the ugly. I want to talk about the dirt. I want to talk about the dirt between your fingernails, that little sliver that gets in your skin that you want to rip off. Movies that you just despise, that you walk out of and you hate. You're so happy that it ends so you can get out of the theater. That's the ugly. So the first one I have on my list, and there's only have four, and that's not a bad ratio considering I saw almost 40 movies. So the first one on my list is Mortal Engines. Now this is a Peter Jackson movie, and I don't think the Way to Workshop guys are around anymore. They're probably still working, but not as Way to Workshop. And it's got some cool set design, some good world building, some good design work and all that. That's where it stops. It's made from a book, so it's supposed to be much larger than it is, and it tries to do all these things into a single movie, and none of it makes sense. It's just all over the place, and it definitely deserves to be in the ugly category. And I was just hoping for a fun post-apocalyptic, Mad Max versus mixed with something else, and I got something that's just really second rate. So definitely on the ugly list, Mortal Engines. Next up is Predator. This movie I loathe. I loathe The Predator or Predator, or whatever you want to call it. It is just a bad movie. Now, it confirms that I don't like Shane Black movies because I just don't like his movie. I love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I like his writing. I just don't like when he's behind the camera all the time. And that's typically the case. I don't like The Nice Guys, and I forgot what he did after that, but when I see a Shane Black movie, I'm just not all that interested. And with this, I was hoping a return to form since he was a part of Predator, the very first one. So I thought it might be something that he would be a part of, and that it would obviously be really good, but it wasn't. It wasn't good at all. It was really bad. So stay away from this one. Yeah, ugly. One ugly mother. And the next one I have is Jurassic World 2. Fallen Kingdom, or Jurassic Park 5. I liked Jurassic World when I saw it the first time in the theater, and then it left quickly. It's a cool experience, but that was it. It's not a very good movie. Jurassic World 2 is just more of the same and worse. I don't like Chris Pratt a lot of the times, and I don't like the characters. I didn't like anything in this movie. There's nothing to like about this movie. It's just garbage. It's a movie to have a sequel for the sake of a sequel. There is no point to it, and I just really, really disliked it on every single level. In fact, I don't remember what it's about. I just completely forgot about it. Okay, last I have on my list, I was flip-flopping. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has two movies. One of them deserves to be on this ugly list. And I couldn't decide. I had one on there, and as I started talking about it, I realized, no, I got the wrong one on there. Skyscraper belongs on the ugly list. It's a Die Hard ripoff, a Die Hard knockoff. It can copy Die Hard. I'm fine with you emulating something, but do something with it. He's The Rock. So he's trained and he's always going to win. He's a special forces guy. Sure, he's an amputee, but 3/4 of The Rock is better than is better than 100% of any man, or 200% of normal men. So I really think that this movie just could have had a lot of fun to go on. And there was things that I wanted to like about it, but when in the end, you didn't care because he gets into the building, then he gets out of the building, then he's got to get back into the building in order to get back out of the building. And I was just like, oh my God, enough with the in and the out of the building already. And it loses every ounce of fear that he's not going to make it. You know it, because he's already done it 3 times. Okay, that's my 4 for the top ugly movies of the year 2018. Now that we got the ugly out of the way, let's talk about the bad. Movies that were not good, they were definitely bad. All right, so the first one I have is Stay on The Rock, right? It's mine. We'll just stick with The Rock. We talked about Skyscraper as the ugly. Let's talk about Rampage as being bad. Now, Rampage is a video game adaptation, and there's one thing that works in the movie, and that's George, the albino gorilla, and The Rock's relationship works. And there is some chemistry there, and there's something that you actually could get behind. Unfortunately, it's lost between everything else going on in this movie and cliches and stupid circumstances. And it's a stupid movie. It's really not very good, but it has that one element that I actually enjoyed. But it's definitely, and that's why it doesn't belong on the ugly list. That's why when I first did this, I changed my view because, you know what, it had the gorilla thing. It had that relationship, and that took it from worst or ugly to at least bad. Okay, and that's where it stays. All right, next one, Creed 2. Creed 2 is not a good movie. It works in some way because of the Dragos and what they were doing with their story, and I wish it would have went more that route and been called Drago. I don't really like Michael B. Jordan all that much as an actor, and I think it really misses Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler made Creed work better than it probably should have, and he does a hell of a job with Black Panther, so I think his absence in Creed 2 is very noticeable. The next on my list is Venom. I love me some Tom Hardy. Now, this movie doesn't hit on any cylinder for me except when Tom Hardy is with Venom. When they are together, or at least he's acting off of himself and that thing's going on, that's delightful. That's the best stuff in the movie. Unfortunately, that's what, maybe 25% of the movie? 33% of the movie? Okay, of just them doing their thing, besides everything else. Everything else I thought was very forgettable, and story was lackluster, and I just didn't care about what was going on. And I truly didn't care about Tom Hardy's character, which sucks because he was trying hard. It just wasn't working. Okay, now, the other one, I talked about Rampage as a video game adaptation. How about Tomb Raider? That definitely belongs in the bad list. Now, it works in one way because it tries, or at least it does the video game emulation very well. So there's scenes where it looks like you're watching the video game, where the camera pans and she's doing certain things. It looks like the video game, and that was really cool. And that's what I've always been waiting for these movies to do when they get adapted from a video game, is emulate that game as best you can, as much as you can. That's why I thought Doom was cool, because you had the first-person shooter at the end, and it didn't take over the whole movie like Hardcore Henry, but it was that one moment that reminded you of what the game was cool, what was cool about the game. Now, Tomb Raider doesn't work on any other level because the characters are horrible. I really like her as a Lara Croft, but there's no story, and Walter Goggins is completely wasted as the villain in this movie. Next up, I have Pacific Rim Uprising. Now, I didn't care so much for Pacific Rim, but because Guillermo del Toro wasn't involved, I figured, oh, what the hell, let's go see that. And I like John Boyega. Now, I really dislike Scott Eastwood, and I think he's a scene killer. Any movie he's in, any scene I've seen him in, he just kills the scene because he just is one note. He's lifeless in many ways. He just doesn't, he's the same, he talks the same, he acts the same in every situation. He's just Scott Eastwood. The next one I have is one that I was really, really disappointed in, and it was Ocean's 8. Now, I'm a big fan of Ocean's 11, Soderbergh's version. I really like the Frank Sinatra version from the Rat Pat version back in the day. Now, I'm okay with this whole gender reversal. You want to take a male-dominant movie and make it women? Cool. Do something with that. That sounds like a cool idea. I think you could probably do something cool with that in Ocean's 8. You didn't do a cool job with that in Ghostbusters. I mean, I couldn't even finish that movie. That's garbage. But with Ocean's 8, I thought, okay, they could do something cool with it. Oh, it takes place in the same universe. Well, that's kind of cool. All right, so there's a relation there. But instead of doing something different, they did the same exact thing. It's Ocean's 11 with women. That's it. That's what you did? I mean, you couldn't do anything more than that? And every character has the same similarities. Kate Blanchett's Brad Pitt character is eating throughout the movie, much like Brad Pitt was. Okay, I guess that's kind of cute. But you know what? I was really disappointed that they just went to that well. Like, okay, we're gonna flip it. We're gonna make it about women, but we're gonna tell the same exact story. And here's what I really disliked about it. You're gonna do this, right? You're gonna make a male or a female dominant movie. All right. Oh, okay, it's about jewelry and revenge. Oh, great. Way to go, Hollywood. Okay, the next one I have is Fantastic Beast and the Crimes of Grindelwald, or whatever the hell it's called. Okay, I liked the first movie because I didn't expect it. I'm not a Harry Potter fan. Not that I don't dislike it. I just don't know it. Don't read the books. Only seen a couple of the movies. Okay, so I caught Fantastic Beast on an airplane, and I was delighted by it. Delighted! It was fantastic. It was a really good movie. Better than I ever expected. So I was expecting something similar in Fantastic Beast 2. And what I got was a steaming pile of dribble. This one very well should be in the ugly list. And quite frankly, it should be, because I can't find a single noteworthy thing about it that makes it stand out that, oh, you know what, it's not ugly, it's bad, but it's not good, but it's definitely bad. No. This movie doesn't have any redeeming qualities. This should be in the ugly list. I have 5 now. I have 5 in the ugly category, and the Fantastic Beast is right there with it. One more I have here. I laugh because it's so bad it's good, right? It has to belong in the bad category, because if it gets into the good category, it did something wrong. It's The Meg. The Meg's a bad movie. It's supposed to be a bad movie. It's supposed to be a bad shark movie, right? And it's awesome at what it does. And the fact that you take a big shark movie and you combine it with an action hero movie and you collision course those two, dude, that's what I'm talking about. And it knocked it out of the park. It can't be a good movie, but it can be fun. So you got a taste of the ugly, we've seen the bad, and now let's get to the good movies of 2018. And I want to start with Red Sparrow. So Red Sparrow is a movie I had no expectations for, other than I don't like spy movies these days. The genre's kind of played out for me. So I probably wouldn't have gone to see this movie if it wasn't for the screening. And it completely blew me away. It's not like your typical spy movie. It's about sexuality, emotional manipulation. It's so different. It's similar to like a Black Widow kind of backstory. I really, really enjoyed it. If you haven't seen it, give it a chance, because it's not your typical spy movie, and Jennifer Lawrence is amazing in it. Next up is Annihilation. Now, Annihilation is one of my favorite movies of the year, and I absolutely loved it. It's a sci-fi movie of all sci-fi movies, right? It's a head scratcher. It doesn't answer any questions. It brings up more questions than answers, and that's what a good sci-fi movie should do. And you don't have to have things answered, and it gives you information. It proposes things, and you extrapolate what you want from it, and then you come up with your own ideas. And that's what good sci-fi should do. And this movie blew me away, and I couldn't stop talking about it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I just couldn't wait to see it again. Very, very good movie, and one of my favorites of the year. Next up is A Quiet Place, another of my favorite of the year, and another one that knocked it out of the park for me. John Krasinski doing directing and acting in this movie, his first movie directing-wise, and he knocked it out of the park. It is so well done, the atmospheric quality, and it's more of an experience thing for me, almost like Gravity. Gravity I adore because I was in a theater in 3D, and it blew me away. I felt like I was there with Sandra Bullock. I came up for air and breathed for the first time at the end of the movie like she did. It really affected me. A Quiet Place did the same exact thing in a different way. The fact that the theater was completely silent throughout the entire thing was just amazing. It was just so weird. It was such a weird experience, and I loved what the movie did. It's similar to other things, and I'm okay with that. It did something new with it, and it had a really cool idea, a really cool theme, and great characters. One of my favorites of the year. All right, next up is Black Panther. Now, Black Panther is a really good movie. I don't think it's as great as people say, but I recognize the fact that it's it's a really good superhero, and the best black superhero ever created, right? I mean, he's awesome. I mean, Blade's pretty badass, but the Black Panther is he's an awesome hero. He's not an anti-hero like Blade. He's a hero, and it's a really good movie. And I think a lot of it's attributed to, oh my gosh, I can't remember his name right now, who plays T'Challa, Black Panther, but also due to Ryan Coogler. Avengers: Infinity War. I mean, why not? I mean, let's get this out of the way. Let's make this short. We all know it's great. It's fantastic. The fact that you're bringing all these things together after 10 years and 20 movies or so. I love what the Russos are doing. They're taking characters that we've already been introduced and doing something better with them and more and meatier with them and giving them substance and something to really, really define them. And I really love what they do, and I cannot wait to see what the Russos do after they're done with the superhero genre. Oh, that's going to be exciting stuff. All right, next up, Solo. Now, this could probably be on a lot of people's bad list, but I'm going to keep it on the good list because it's Han Solo. It's my favorite. And the fact that it's better than it probably should have been. It's better than it was going to be. Okay? They had a disaster on their hands with the first directors. Behind the scenes things were crazy. They got rid of them, brought on Ron Howard, who deserves Best Director or at least Director of the Year for taking this movie and making it what it was, as opposed to what it could have been. And I think he saved it. And I think I really enjoyed it. It's a Star Wars movie. It felt like a Star Wars movie, even though we don't need a Han Solo backstory movie. We got it. I liked it. I just wish we would get more of these now, like a Han and Chewie movie and a Boba Fett movie and a Ben Kenobi movie. But no, none of that's going to happen because everyone hated Solo except for me. Okay, next up, Incredibles 2. The Return of Brad Bird and the return to the animation world. And I love this movie. I think it's right up. It's not quite as good as the first Incredibles. Okay. But it is truly, really, really good. It flips things. Elastigirl's now the lead hero. You have Mr. Mom, Mr. Incredible, and you have that whole thing with Baby Jack Jack, and it's just hysterical. It's great. Great pacing, great structure. It's good characters, great villain with the screenslaver. It's got some cool stuff, and I really enjoyed it. So it definitely belongs on the good. Next up, Mission Impossible Fallout. Now, Mission Impossible Fallout is possibly one of the best movies of the year. It is a phenomenal action movie. It's not so much a spy movie. It is, but it's a Mission Impossible movie, so it's a little bit of everything. And it's a return to the great action-adventure movie, just like Ben Tremalio and myself did a podcast recently. I hope you listened to it. It's the Action Podcast. And we talked about how John Wick kind of reinvigorated and restarted the the action hero movie. And it added something that now other things are happening. And one of those was going back to what makes it work. And I think that's what Mission Impossible Fallout does. It goes back to what works. If you haven't seen it, because of Tom Cruise or Mission Impossible, you need to see it because it's awesome writing, it's awesome storytelling, it's awesome characters, and awesome action. And then watch Rogue Nation. In fact, watch Rogue Nation first and then Fallout. Phenomenal. Bad Times at the El Royale. I really wanted more from this movie, but it's still good. It's not quite bad. I just wanted more because I was expecting more hotel. I was expecting more Cabin in the Woods. And it's not. It's not supposed to be Cabin in the Woods, but I just kept thinking that because of Drew Goddard. And I was like, oh, it's going to be crazy at some point. And it wasn't nearly anything like that movie. Didn't make it a bad movie. It just, defied my expectations. So, great characters, the collision course that they take, the randomness of that, the seedy backdrop. Ooh, there's some cool stuff in this movie. It's very Quentin Tarantino-esque with Drew Goddard writing. Cool movie. Definitely go check it out. Next up, the Western of the year, The Sisters Brothers. Okay, so this movie, this one, I really enjoy, but I know a lot of people will hate because it's a hard movie to watch. It's dry humor, but it's very funny when it is. It's not a comedy, but there are some funny moments, okay? And it's really hard to watch because it's gross in many ways, and it's just a little slow and a little off, but I loved it. And I think it's a French filmmaker, so he's doing something different, and I really, really enjoyed this movie, and I know a lot of people would not be able to take this movie in unless you're a really true Western fan, so buyer beware. Next up I have is Halloween, a movie that should not been as good as it was. The fact that it's taking place not directly after, but the follow-up movie to Halloween, John Carpenter back in the day, and you take away all the Halloween movies and throw them out the window. It's just this and that, right? And I love that. I like the movie. David Gordon Green from Pineapple Express, Danny McBride, the writers, they made this movie. And I was pleasantly surprised. And the fact that John Carpenter did the music deserves to be on the good list just for that. All right, next up, Overlord. Overlord is a guys on a mission movie, World War II kind of thing, and by itself, it would be a good movie just like that. I was into it. I liked the characters. I understood their job and what they needed to do and why they needed to do it and what was at stake if they didn't get it done. Stake and consequences. I mean, it was really cool. They had really good stuff that was simple. It was simple to write in. Get it in there. And then you throw in this Resident Evil Nazi experiment thing gone wrong, and all of a sudden that affects their mission, and boom, you have a different type of story. Really cool. It's a B movie. It's supposed to be a movie. It's exactly what it should be. So definitely check this out when you see it come on Netflix or Amazon. It's definitely worth the hour and a half, hour and 45 that it is. All right. Next up is Deadpool. Deadpool, I mean, come on. It's awesome, right? I mean, I didn't like Deadpool all that much, but I love Deadpool 2. It's by one of the guys that did John Wick. It's got a better story. It's got better character. It's got better consequences and arcs and reasons. And everything that you want from your story, it's there. And I love Deadpool 2. And I love the team element. I love the theme of the story. And I love the Josh Brolin aspect of Cable. And the fact that you have less Indian cab driver and TJ Miller is always a bonus in my book. They're funny, but just in little doses. Okay. And then you have something brilliant that happened. They took Deadpool 2, released it, and then later on they released it called Once Upon a Deadpool. And it's Deadpool 2, but a PG-13 version without the F words, without the headshots, without the gratuitous violence, and you incorporate Fred Savage and the Princess Bride into Deadpool 2, and all of a sudden, you have made magic. What was that? I mean, that's like made for someone like me, so I mean, if you get that, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But man, that's awesome. And definitely worth another viewing. I didn't see Deadpool 2 twice. So I saw it the first time, then I saw Once Upon. That was the second time I saw it. And it was a great way to watch it the second time. Really, really well done. And bravo to people involved with Deadpool and Marvel and whoever it is. Okay. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Definitely the best Spider-Man movie I've ever seen. I love what they did with this movie. It's an origin movie without being an origin movie. In fact, they're kind of playing with the fact that it's an origin movie, and you'll know what I mean when you see it, or if you've already seen it, you know what I mean. It's really well done. It's not Peter Parker, but yet he's in it. I mean, it's a different Spider-Man, but it's familiar. It's not redundant, and it's sharp. It's lively. It's got great action, and it's got great humor, and it's just well written. And it's Phil Lord from Lord and Miller. And I was really, really happy with it. And my kids loved it. I loved it. And it's something that I'll be buying so that they can watch it and I can watch it again myself. All right. Last couple I have for the year, we have Vice, which is a movie that I wasn't sure I was going to like. I'm not an Adam McKay fan. I didn't like The Big Short. Couldn't finish it. I like Anchorman. That's it, really, for Adam McKay. Wasn't excited when I heard he was going to be doing Ant-Man. So with this, with Vice, the first half of the movie is really off for me. It's like The Big Short. It's really dry humor. It's just it doesn't really have a pulse. And then the second half of this movie is where it found its feet. George W. Bush gets involved as the midpoint of the story, and boom, the whole story goes in a new direction, and I could not be happier with that last half of the movie, and it made up for everything in the first half. So really well done. Very interesting on what was going on during this time frame, and stuff that I wasn't really paying attention to. And yeah, it was crazy. So definitely go check it out if you're interested in that kind of thing. And then I have Bumblebee. Now, Bumblebee, I loved Bumblebee. It's a Transformers movie that, like a Transformers movie should be. It's everything that Michael Bay didn't do. And the fact that you don't make it a Transformers movie, but you have Transformers involved, but you make it about a single character to get us involved with this new Transformers world, right? It's not a Michael Bay movie. This has nothing to do with what we've seen. This is a new start. This is a soft reboot. So even though Michael Bay's name's attached to the producer, this is a new thing. And he comes, we get introduced to Bumblebee, and now starts the story of Transformers and Earth. It's fantastic. And then the last movie I have for the year is Bohemian Rhapsody. And I absolutely adored it. Now, I didn't know a lot about Queen, but I liked their music, and now I like it even more. And it made me want to look into them, made me want to watch some of the performances and find out how awesome Queen really was and how spectacular Freddie Mercury was. So, phenomenal movie. If you haven't seen it, do see it, because Rami Malek's going to win the Oscar, if not Christian Bale for Cheney. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my good, the bad, and the ugly of 2018. But before I let you go, I want to give you my bottom 5 and my top 5 of the year. Let's start with the bottom 5. You have Jurassic World 2. You have The Predator. You have Mortal Engines. You have Fantastic Beasts. And you have Skyscraper. Those are my bottom 5 of the year. Now, for the top 5, I have Avengers Infinity War. I have Annihilation, Mission Impossible Fallout. I forget now, Bohemian Rhapsody. And I have, where is it at? Oh, I forgot it. And A Quiet Place. Boom. And why did I forget that one? I don't know, because that's my favorite movie of the year. So, a really good year for movies. Some really exceptional movies. And, of course, you're going to get some bads in there. But you know what? It is what it is. So, I hope you enjoyed listening to my movie reviews throughout the year. I look forward to more this year. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe right over here. Like and follow. And what is your favorite movie of the year? What was your least favorite movie of the year? All right. Leave those in the comments. I'll see you soon. Go see some more movies.